Jnanatimirandasya Kyanangena Salakaya Sakshun Militanyena Tasma Sri Guruve Namaha Namo Madhyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurātrise Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Rereading from Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya-līlā, Chapter 1, The Later Pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Text 34. The Goswamis carried out the preaching work of devotional service on the basis of an analytical study of all confidential Vedic literatures. This was in compliance with the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus one can understand the most confidential devotional service of Vrindavan. Some of the books compiled by Srila Sanatana Goswami were Hari Bhakti Bilas, Bhagavatamrita, Darshana Tipani, and Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Who can count the rest of the books headed by Laghu Bhagavatamrita, written by Srila Rupa Goswami? He has described the pastimes of Vrindavan in all of them. Srila Rupa Goswami's nephew, Srila Jiva Goswami, has compiled so many books on devotional service that there is no counting them. In Sri Bhagavad Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami has written conclusively about the ultimate end of devotional service. Okay, we will read the purport. It's quite long. Bhagavad Sandarbha is also known as Sat Sandarbha, in the first part called Tattva Sandarbha. You know what is Tattva?
No.
It means truth. It is proved that Srimad Bhagavatam is the most authoritative evidence directly pointing to the absolute truth. The second Sandarbha, called Bhagavad Sandarbha, draws a distinction between impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma, and describes the spiritual world and the domination of the mode of goodness, devoid of contamination by the other two material modes. In other words, there is a vivid description of the transcendental position known as Suddha Sattva. Material goodness is apt to be contaminated by the other two material qualities, ignorance and passion. But when one is situated in the Suddha Sattva position, there is no chance for such contamination. So Sattva is the highest mode of material nature, like ignorance, passion and Sattva. And Suddha Sattva is a purified manifestation of that mode of nature. Only via Sattva, Gun is the mode of nature, we can transcend, we can offer our services. So it means we have to be clean in consciousness, clean in externally. So that is the Suddha Sattva. From that plane we can transcend. The potency of the Supreme Lord and the living entity is also described, and there is a description of the inconceivable energies and varieties of energies of the Lord. The potencies are divided into categories: internal, external, personal, marginal, and so forth. There are also discussions of the eternality of deity worship, the omnipotence of the deity, his all-pervasiveness, his giving shelter to everyone, his subtle and gross potencies, his personal manifestations, his expressions of form, quality and pastimes, his transcendental position and his complete form. It is also stated that everything pertaining to the Absolute has the same potency, and that the spiritual world, the associates in the spiritual world, and the threefold energies of the Lord in the spiritual world are all transcendental. There are further discussions concerning the difference between the impersonal Brahman and the personality of Godhead, the fullness of the personality of Godhead, the objective of all Vedic knowledge, the personal potencies of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead as the original author of Vedic knowledge. I stop here, and because it's very long. Now I go to text 44. The most famous and formidable transcendental literature is the book named Gopala-champu. In this book, the eternal pastimes of the Lord are established, and the transcendental mellows enjoyed in Vrindavan are completely described. Purport. In his Anubhashya, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the following information about Gopala-champu. Gopala-champu is divided in two parts. The first part is called the Eastern Wave, and the second part is called the Northern Wave. In the first part, there are 33 supplications, and in the second part, 37 supplications in the first part. The first year after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life, all the devotees headed by Sri Advaita Prabhu went to see the Lord at Jagannath Puri. After attending the Ratha Yatra ceremony at Jagannath Puri, all the devotees remained there for 4 months, greatly enjoying the company of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by performing kirtan, chanting and dancing. At the time of departure, the Lord requested all the devotees, "Please come here every year to see the Ratha Yatra festival of Lord Jagannath's journey to the Kondicha temple." Following the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees used to visit Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every year. They would see the Kondicha festival at Jagannath Puri and then return home after 4 months. For 20 consecutive years, this meeting took place, and the situation became so intense that the Lord and the devotees could not be happy without meeting one another. The last 12 years were simply devoted to relishing the pastimes of Krishna in separation within the heart of the Lord. In the attitude of separation, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared mad both day and night. Sometimes he laughed, and sometimes he cried. Sometimes he danced, and sometimes he chanted in great sorrow. At those times, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would visit Lord Jagannath. Then his feeling exactly corresponded to those of the gopis when they saw Krishna at Kurukshetra. After long separation, Krishna had come to Kurukshetra with his brother and sister to visit. Okay, we stop here for today. Reading Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya-līlā, chapter 1, the later pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Jai. Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Srila Gurudev. Then we read, in the light of loving devotion, By His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Rakak Śrīdhar Swāmī Maharaj. We're still reading from the Endnotes in chapter Revealed Truth Unlimited, and that is chapter 13. Endnote number 5. Srila Śrīdhar Maharaj is here looking at Shastra and Sadhu, scriptures and saints, comparatively, and as such in explaining that the Shastra is giving a more passive kind of guidance and the Sadhu more active, thus establishing that for the spiritual practitioner the association of Sadhu is immediately of greater importance. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that of the 64 items in devotional service, the absolutely most important are Sadhu Sangha, holy association, and Krishna Nama, chanting of the Lord's holy name. Of course, as a whole, all elements work together in devotional service. As is said, Guru Shastra, Sadhu Vakya, Jitete Koriya Akya. With the help of Guru, Scripture and Sadhu, and then confirmation from within the heart, from the inner Guru, Chaitya Guru, one is to progress, and one's ability or capacity is being able to clearly discern and to follow these directions depends on the maturity of one's Shraddha, faith. You're familiar with the Chaitya Guru? So there's the Mahanta Guru. So first it is established that the association of the Sadhu is paramount, is most important of all. Mm-hmm. And the Chaitya Guru is all the teachings that you have received from the Sadhu. You cherish them in your heart. So the Sadhu, the Mahanta Guru is the Sadhu outside, and the Chaitya Guru is all the treasure what you have received from the Sadhu, the treasure chest. You implement more and more in your heart and soul. And then next to it, first they say the Sadhu and chanting of the holy name. Two of the most important aspects in spiritual life. They go together. And then reading. If we are not with the Sadhu, if we are at home, then the books, they are very important, because the books the Sadhu has given, the devotees, the Gurus have given, and Krishna is revealing himself in the books. So if we are not in the association of the Sadhu, the living Sadhu, then the passive Sadhu is in the book, like the Sadhu has given us this another treasure. It's everywhere. If we can see everywhere treasure, then that is the purification of our existence. If we can see everywhere there is a manifestation of the Lord, or of the Sadhu who is telling about the Lord. And the Sadhu also represents the Lord. Any comments to add to this? Okay. As one Acharya has put it, books are the basis. Indeed, Srila Śrīdhar Maharaj himself was renowned for his deep love and understanding of the scriptures. He was awarded the title Shastra Nipuna by his Guru for his abilities in this regard. It's like genius in all the conceptions of the absolute truth, the tattva. traditional in any spiritual discussion between Pandits, scholars, in India, any point put forward would have to be supported by scriptural quotation, chapter and verse, or it would not even be taken seriously. The Holy Veda, Vedic knowledge, is considered a non-different manifestation from the Lord. God in sound form. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I alone am the sweet absolute, to be known through all the Vedas. I am the revealer of the Vedanta, Veda Vyas, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Vedanta is the concise form of Vedic knowledge, therefore also known as the Vedanta Sutras. The sage Veda Vyas, compiler of the Vedas, is himself an empowered incarnation of the Lord Narayan, Krishna's plenary expansion, and is sometimes referred to as the literally incarnation of God. The principle of Sabda Brahma, divine sound, being non-different from which it represents, unlike sound in the world of duality, which is different therefrom, is a subject beyond the scope of these comments. Sabda Brahma, the divine sound. We know when we are in the material world and we have to go to do some shopping or buying something, all the time, everywhere is that material sound, right? And if we compare that with this, with hearing about the Lord, that is like obvious what a difference that is. Or the chanting of the holy name. So that is already a very big emphasis on what we are dealing with here. We are tatastha, means like we have half spiritual, half material. So we always have to make a choice. But this is a big evidence, like, oh no, please, not this noise of the material world. We want to hear kirtan, we want to hear harikatha, we want to, Sabda Brahma, divine sound. I think I read this yesterday. Okay, go on.
But that's good. It's quite good to repeat it. It's
yeah.
a very beautiful section.
Yes. Okay, I go on. It doesn't matter sometimes with repeating, because we are not. We are souls born in Kali Yuga, so our containment of our memory is not very strong, like in other ages, in Satya Yuga. Like for us to hear again what we just heard, it doesn't matter, because it is that Sabda Brahma. It's directly perceived by the soul, and it's the king of knowledge, Raja Vidya. It makes happy. It makes you get some nourishment, because we are deprived of it. We are in a desert, actually. So all this encourages us, this awakens us. This, even though we hear it again and again, it doesn't matter. It's wonderful. It never gets boring in comparison to material subject matters or sound. Okay, so the principle of Sabda Brahma, divine sound, being non-different from that which it represents, unlike sound in the world of duality, which is different therefrom, is a subject beyond the scope of these comments. But the Vedic principle that the very creation of the material cosmos itself proceeds from sound vibration, it echoed in many theistic traditions, Judaism, Islam, Christianity. I heard also Gurma saying, like all these planets, how they move in the cosmos, is a big sounds are there coming from these moving of the planets in the cosmos. St. John's Gospel begins, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by Him, and without Him was not made anything that was made." Everything is Krishna. Theistic traditions all hold also that God has created human beings unique among all creatures, with a prevenient receptivity to divine revelation. As Jesuit theologian Karl Rahner put it, as humans we are specifically hearers of the word. Revelation can also come through the book of nature or through inner experience. It is true, and these are available to all men. But careful attention to Scripture, when prayerfully imbibed into a purified heart, can give revelation which is super-rational or transcendental. I read also, in the beginning of every movement, in the beginning of every thought, right, of all of us, there is Krishna. Krishna is there. What we do with that movement, or with that subjective intention, that we can choose. We make it karma or we make it service. It's interesting. Yeah. So Krishna is everywhere, with everything, because there is no movement without Krishna. There is no thought without. That's all coming from Him, from the soul, no doubt. But in the environment, He is there. And although He is, they say, He's not there in the material world, as in a material movement or material thought stream. But He's there for the devotees in the material world, when they can acknowledge Him, that He is the creator of everything. Did I make myself clear?
Yeah, that the possibility is there if the right, approach it with the right consciousness.
Yes, and through the chanting, we get purified of all the noises and all the samskaras over the. You know what is samskara? Yeah, over the soul. That is by the chanting of the holy name. Then more and more we get purified to indeed become more aware that we have a choice to do some service or make karma. So through the chanting, the whole, say, mental system becomes calmed. The mental system, we know, we refer to it, is the cause of all the suffering coming from the mental system. And Śrīdhar says also, the whole mental system has to be dissolved. This is a big thing, because the whole mental system is created through misunderstanding and selfish interest. Interesting, right? That is all. That whole mental system. As soon as negativity, because mainly that is negativity in the material sense come up, we have to calm the whole system. Like, I'm not going there. I'm going to chant holy name. I'm focusing on my service. No negativity at all in the mental system, Śrīdhar Maharaj. And when it pops up, natural pops up, then we nip it in the bud. We don't, how do you say? We don't contemplate on it. Not let it go deeper, because then it is there deeper in our system. Okay. So, what a journey we are in, what an adventure right? Very beautiful that has come into our life. Any comments? Any?
Just one thing to say about the trait of go is actually the feeling within the heart, isn't it?
Yes.
So, you're saying, well, that's a simple way of understanding what the trait of go is. So the go is your go within your heart.
Yes. Yeah. And also we have the super soul. Super soul is also, we have the super soul also next to the Jiva, Atma. The Paramatma is also there. So all these spiritual revelations we can carry inside us in our heart and soul.
Yeah, you mentioned at one point, I never really heard it put like that, like we're half material, half spiritual.
You never heard that?
Not in such a...
Yes.
In that type of way. I mean, obviously there's always the... Yeah, obviously this is what we live in, but I think you put it down like as a choice between, we can go in either direction.
Because what we are dealing with, this body and the mental system, what we just talked about, we have created that ourselves through many lifetimes, in many life forms, on many, like many planets, different planets. That's all covering the soul.
Mm.
But we are actually the soul.
Mm.
So that is that. Our gurus, they give the analogy of the sea and the shore. So in that position where the sea comes together with the sand in the shore, that is like there's sand and it's also wet there. That is our position, like tatastha, half spiritual, half material. And the material side, our body, that is all through manifested through our consciousness in other lifetimes. So what you represent in your form, what he represents, she represents, that is, we have created that in our through our consciousness, material consciousness. Is a manifestation of, because if some seers of truth, although now in Kali Yuga is more difficult, they could see, or doctors can see that actually, Ayurvedic doctors can see what is your color, what is your eyes, what is the form. They can see many things of your nature in what we represent. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
But it is all material.
Yeah.
It is a material representation of us.
Yeah.
And then, that's then the body. But then the subtle manifestation, you know the differences, right? The gross body, and then comes the senses, the mind, the intelligence, the ego, and then the soul in that category. Yeah. Like from more gross to more subtle. That's all representing a false concoction of us being in the material world.
Yeah.
From many lifetimes. That's why it's such a high birth to have a human form, because the human form is the only living entity who has consciousness and can connect with the Supreme Lord.
Yeah.
So it's a very high form, but we have to go through many hurdles to overcome all this misconception and all these tendencies about, selfish interest, egotism.
Yeah.
I think that what maybe you heard is that we always hear that we are spirit souls, right? Eternal, that's our innate nature, is that we are an eternal servant of the Lord, right? Because you never heard that concept before. But we are covered by all the layers.
Yeah, it was just how you said it, actually, and how we're standing on this line between both. Like sometimes you hear them in separation, of course, and there isn't that emphasis that we're standing on that line of the two. It was just how you said it. I thought it was quite focusing for however I perceived it. Yeah, I just thought it was nice.
Yes, that is what we mentioned before. Every moment we have a choice to do something progressive or something going backward.
Yeah.
And it's subtle, and through the chanting it becomes more calm. Because we have many grasshoppers in our mind, isn't it? It hops from this thing to that thing. And through the chanting and through our service life and through our dedication, we calm that whole system, because we just heard that whole system is false.
Yeah.
It is a false system. It's falsehood, it's a lie, it's not true.
Yeah.
That's why so many people now have mental health, and we know also when we were having hard times with our mind, or feeling very down or depressed. We know that. But we now understand also we can get out of it. With some help, and some cases are more, it's very difficult to get over it. But by our change of making a sacrifice, but of our life, instead of trying to be the enjoyer, what we are never and Jai. We are not the enjoyer. There's only one enjoyer, and that's Krishna. That's why it never comes about that we have full happiness here in the material world.
Yeah.
It's always very temporary, it's illusionary. You think you have something and then it's not there anymore. It's like quicksand. It's not a reality. Jai Sisi Guru Kuranga Sundara Radha Kiridari Ju Ki Jai. Is it? Yeah?
Yeah. No, very, very nice, inspiring words, really.
It's very big and it's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's the most interesting subject matter we can find.
And as you mentioned, it's so subtle, it's just a shift in perspective, and, to be in that position of receptivity, like, it's small but massive.
And not to be afraid to be alone, because alone, then you can connect with the Lord or with your Guru, who gives you connection with the Lord.
Yeah.
Make a nice situation in your house, in the place where you are. You have a little altar, you bow down, you make a nice, some atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know, and then read the book, and then feel that calm into your life. You're connected with the highest, what anybody can have in this material world. All the high-fly personalities, so-called, that we see in the internet, it's not actually. All that power, all that wealth, all that fame cannot be compared. All the wealth, all the fame, all the money in this world combined cannot be compared with one drop of nectar. How beautiful is that?
Yeah, and it makes me sort of think of practice and how I implement it. Because you mentioned there's this disturbance in the mental system and how we operate, and how I think you mentioned staying positive and
and that is also the mantra.
Yes, the mantra.
Invite the mantra. You know, I sometimes say if you're so tired and so down and you had it all and with everybody, then take the mantra.
Yeah.
Go over that.
Yeah.
Say, my Lord, I need you in my life. I'm helpless.
Yeah.
I want you in my life. And then showing him, because he's looking all the time on us. Vishnu Padam. Always the lotus feet of Vishnu are on top of us.
Yeah.
So to become aware in the heart and knowing that is real. What was real? What was truth we learned today?
Tattva.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the absolute tattva, the absolute truth. And making that shift from a selfish person to a selfless person. And going into, how can I please the Lord instead of what can I do for myself? He's a loving Lord. He let us have our thing, no problem. We know that.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you mentioned, the Lord is there, and in the basis of thoughts, and everything.
Every movement, every thought of everybody.
Yeah.
But they don't know it yet.
Yeah, and how do we interact with?
And we slowly becoming more aware of that as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because then also we will be never alone.
Yeah.
The search for Sri Krishna, reality, the beautiful. All this searching from if somebody else just is there with me, then I will be happy, then I will be better in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
He's already, our best friend is already there.
Yeah. Yeah, and the closeness and the intimacy that's there.
He knows us better than we ourselves. He's more close than we are to ourselves, with all these aspects that we hear, that he's in every thought, he's in every beginning of whatever we do. He's there, and then we have a choice to do it good or maybe not so good, or slacking, or very good. And there's our happiness. There's no other happiness what is so beautiful and so full of knowledge, full of dancing and singing. Like Devananda, he has has his favorite song. What is it? Nitai Caitanya Bole Nachia Mama. Dancing and singing. We like dancing. That's when we remember Krishna, and when we remember Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. It's dancing and singing, because at last the soul awakens and becomes connected, and what a joyful situation. Without all the nastiness of the material world. It's nasty.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a creation of the Lord. Totally amazing.
Yeah.
And wonderful. But not to use it, to degrade it again, to use it for your selfish purpose and and then bragging about what you all do in your in life and not giving proper acknowledgement. Where does all your intelligence come from? It's come from the Lord. Where is all your beauty coming from? From the Lord.
Yeah, and like that's that disturbance in the system, the exploitative,
for lifetimes, in many life forms, in many planetary systems, lifetimes, millions. And now we have a chance to wake up. Wow, that is amazing. Mahaprabhu came. We just have to be very humble, very tolerant with our karma, give all glories to others. Like, you want glory here, you can have it. Yeah. And don't want any glory for yourself. These are jewels presented on golden plates. These are the real jewels. Transcendental jewels. To implement them in our life. Yeah, Prabhu?
Yeah, thank you.
Something else that's coming in your mind?
No, I was just thinking of the
golden opportunity.
The golden opportunity, the
bright prospect.
Special situation that we stand in, that edge of choice.
All the time.
Yeah.
And what I said before, it's a Lord of love. It's Krishna, the Lord coming as Krishna, as the Lord of love. It's no fear. God with a fear implementing fear God.
Yeah.
I don't know how you see it. It's not like that. If we know, if we do something, then we get a reaction. It's just the law.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to punish us. He wants us to go in another track. These are universal laws. If you do this, then you get that.
Yeah.
It's just like if you eat, then you have to go to the bathroom. It's like that. You're not going to quarrel with your stools, Guru Maharaj says. A bad workman quarrels with his tools. What we see in material life, maybe we did it also, blaming everybody of my unhappiness. It's the fault of my parents or fault of my partner, neighbor. You have to learn to very calmly go through all that. No doubt we can, what happens, that is a reaction of our own doings. And see if we can go through that in a humility and tolerance and remember the Lord and praying. He's also the praying, to have a prayerful mood. Like, please help me, my Lord. I'm not so strong. I'm helpless. Please come in my life. And you chant. That is good. Because we're not so strong. Maybe material very strong, but spiritual not so strong. But all these, and especially associating with the devotees, you have a very nice center there. Wonderful devotees. So to make ourselves enthusiastic.
What's that word?
Enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic. Oh yeah.
Love and enthusiasm.
Yeah.
For this life, because better doesn't get better.
Yeah.
It will. The teachings of Guru Maharaj, especially in Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, that going really deep into yourself. Srila Govinda Maharaj says, we are the religion of finding fault in ourselves, not in others so much.
Yeah.
Not so much, not at all.
Yeah.
Like Devananda chose that bhajan, Jivana Amara. Did you see the translation?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I remember.
Did we read it?
Yeah, we read it.
Yeah, that was the one with the cleansing.
Like that we always have some negativity about others, and we are envious. I mean, it is a heavy song, but if we look at it honestly, then we see in many ways we do that.
Yeah, it's quite confronting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's confronting. So it's good to sing that song. So then we also will lose. Then if we are more humble, we can tolerate much more. Then we can tolerate the devotees. Sometimes we have problems there. We can tolerate. We can be of help. We are a well-wisher. That is a good word.
Yeah.
To be a well-wisher to everybody.
Yeah.
Srila Saraswati Thakur says, if I can think I'm the worst of everybody, that's a very healthy position. Because then you can see the Lord. Please, Lord, how can I help? How can I serve? How can I be just kind to somebody? Yeah. Also in the material world. Give some relief. Because everybody is suffering. So you here as a servant of the Lord. You heard that. Jivera Swarupa Hoya, Krishnera Nityadas. We are all an eternal servant of the Lord. Actually a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. In due respect, you don't have to serve, a lunatic or a very demoniac person. And sometimes people can be very taking your time, so you give your respect and you give something and then you go, because it can be very, energy sucking sometimes, some people.
Yeah.
But always respectful, see the abode of the Lord in everybody.
Yes.
But, going into, like a swan, going through life, like you take the essence and the things that are not necessary, you leave it.
Yeah.
Jai.
Jai, thank you.
Jai. In the light of loving devotion, Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Śrīdhar Dev Swāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Swāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai. Prabhu, do you know Hari Haraya? You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just get the page.
It's page 60.
Hari-Haraya Nama Krishnaya Devaya Nama.
Hari-Haraya Nama Krishnaya Devaya Nama.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama.
Gopala Govinda Ram Srimadhusudana.
Gopala Govinda Ram Srimadhusudana.
Giridhari Gopinath Mohana.
Giridhari Gopinath Mohana.
Swāmī Maharaj ki jai. Jayam Vishapaya Paramahamsa Parivāja Kacharya Vāya Asatar Sata Shushima Shri Bhakti Śrīdhar Swāmī Maharaj ki jai. Jayam Vishapaya Paramahamsa Parivāja Kacharya Vāya Asatar Sata Shushima Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Jayam Vishapaya Shri Gaurika Sardas Bhagaji Maharaj ki jai. Jayam Vishapaya Shri Sachi Devī Dāsī Shri Bhakti Thakur ki jai. Jayam Vishapaya Shri Jagannath Das Bhagaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Guru Guruvaka ki jai. Namaskar Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Swāmī Prabhupada ki jai. Ananti Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Vajradeva Vijayabhūshana ki jai. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Bhaguru ki jai. Shri Narottam Shamananda Srinivasa Acharya Bhaguru ki jai. Shri Dharmadas Thakur ki jai. Shri Vishwanath Kaviraj ki jai. Six great Swamis of Vrindavan ki jai. Shri Saraswati Bhaguru ki jai. Shri Saraswati Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Chandra Kundali Kundi Prabhu ki jai. Shri Lakshmi Vivama Devi ki jai. Shri Vikna Vinashaya Shri Singha Devi ki jai. Shri Pulab Maharaj ki jai. Mahawani ki jai, Tursi Kumar ki jai, Ganga Janamaji ki jai, Gwanda Vaishnava Bhagavatam Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki jai, Vaishnava Vajrasabha ki jai, Akaman Vajra Shri Caitanya ki jai, Tadiya Satama ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswati ki jai, Vishwapriyapi Tadiya Satama ki jai, Shri Maipo ki jai, Shri Dhanavri ki jai, Vrindavan ki jai, ki jai, Padadesha ki jai, Jagannath ki jai, Shri Govinda Kun ki jai, Shri Siddhartha Shri Ganga Dwarja ki jai, Samaveta Vaishnava Madhava ki jai, Samaveta Govinda ki jai, devotees all over the world ki jai, all the several devotees ki jai, Jai Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Krishna Gaura Premanandi Hari Sachi Devī Dāsī ki jai.